So here we are with Le Grand Guerre. I've made it through the 1914 winter interphase. Pushed a little bit further just because there's some aspects that are kind of interesting, and the early stuff, the diplomacy, the technology research, etc. Just wanted to get that all out of the way, and then maybe look at turns a little less in depth, because it's going to be boring for a while, I think. Just the bad weather, etc. It's between snow and rain, and people have planned their major offensives already for when weather gets a little better. What we've seen mainly is that the line's solidified. We already saw this for the most part on the West Front, but over here on the Serbian or Balkan front, we have a very, very thinly stretched Serbian army, which is not going to be able to hold up, I think, to Austrian attacks. They've got some ground, but they can't really hold it. And then over on the Russian front, we see the Germans taking a little bit further south on the front, taking responsibility for that. The Germans are looking at this as where, if they can win the war, they've got to. The losses they took in the West were just too great. Yes, they've shifted some troops back and forth, a little bit of an increase in the West, but it's just too hard to break through there and do anything. But with luck, a lot of luck, they may be able to get a push on Russia to the extent that it'll knock Russia out of the game early. I doubt it. Big event, only big event, is that England entered the war. They're looking and considering the possibility of making a landing down in Greece and trying to support the Serbs there. That looks like the weakest spot right now. They're not really needed on the West Front because it's so short, which is one of the reasons the German troops are being pushed over into the east as well. Other big events, or non-events really, the Italians did not enter the war. They pushed a little closer. Likewise, Romania, which was one of the Central Powers' big hopes, there were a lot of Russian ambassador points in there, and when they made their roll, Romania actually became less aligned with the Central Powers. So they're really looking at pulling for Bulgaria next turn, see if that pushes over. Turkey is kind of useless right now, but they'll take them, you know, although that's going to push Romania further into the Entente camp. Overall, I think things look really, really, really bad for the Central Powers. If this were a normal game, I would call it and say, there's just no chance. But I've seen this game do such tricky things. I had one game where it looked like the Allies were completely beaten because the British Navy had been destroyed by the Germans. France was tottering and, in revolt. And they pulled out of it with the Clemenceau event, kind of stabilized, and on that very turn, Germany collapsed. So I'm unwilling to trust that my intuition of how bad things are is necessarily going to mean that the game is going to be won by the side that things look good for. Anyway, it's not like I have time to clean it up and play another one before I leave for Europe, so maybe I'll see some of these battlefields.